What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Just Play Jay, back with another video for you guys. And I know this is a long time coming, but I wanted to do a quick review on the Razer Edge, the Wi-Fi version. And I think that, in my opinion, I think this is actually a great device. I ended up buying this from a third-party seller at a smaller price than what it actually retails for. And I did it because I was just on the lookout for this type of device for a long time, and I really didn't want to spend the actual retail price for the Razer Edge Wi-Fi version, which I believe is still $400 on their website. So again, like I said, I ended up buying it from a third-party seller, and it was actually a great deal. I actually ended up buying for about half the price, which was like $200. And to me, I thought it was a steal. And I know that if you guys, keep an eye out for these type of devices out there, I'm sure you'll find one that is just as good or even better than what I purchased it for. But I just want to quickly go over, just the ergonomics of it. Yes, people have complained about how it looks like a phone attached to Razer Kishi Pro controller, V2 Pro controller, whatever it is, and that may be the case, but in my opinion, this is not really a phone. I mean, this is what you consider a mini tablet that you can pretty much multitask on, and you can pretty much do everything like actually that a phone would, but it's not actually a phone. So I think this, in my opinion, is more like the ultimate handheld gaming device, just for right now. I know the Odin 2 is coming out, which I am actually looking forward to, but until then, this is actually a fairly powerful device for the price. And even $400 is not that bad, because you think about the Red Magic 8 Pro S and like the Samsung Galaxy Ultras that are still up there in price, and yeah, those have higher Snapdragon Gen 1 or Gen 2 chips. But I mean, of course, for that price, it makes so much sense to have it at that price. So I can see why people would buy those type of phones, but you can't knock on the Razer Edge because of its $400 price tag. Because from what I played on this device for the time that I've had it, which was maybe about a month now, or close to a month, or maybe a few weeks, I think. This is actually a great gaming handheld. So quickly, let me just go over the ergonomics of it. So again, this is, you have your little tablet here in the middle, and then you have these you have the Razer Kishi version 2 controller, and I like the travel on these joysticks. I mean, it's not Hall sensor joysticks, but it has that Switch N-Lock style sticks that you would see, of course, on the Switch. And then I just like the way it feels. It's just comfortable in my hands. Like, it sits in my hands, and like when I grip it, it just rests perfectly in my palms. And I just like the way, I mean, some people have had complaints about the joypad, but when I do like fireballs and dragon punches and all that stuff, I mean, I know I can't use Retro Game Core's, terminology for it, so I can just say fireballs and dragon punches. The motions for it when you're playing like street fighting games and stuff. It goes fairly well for me because, well, a lot of people can't do it, but I mean, of course, when you're sweeping your thumb or whatever to throw those moves, it works for me all the time. So, but I like the way it feels. You have your L3. I didn't mean to press that, but you have your clickable buttons here, your L3 and R3 and all that stuff. And then also you have, this is for like, your screenshots and stuff like that. And then if you use this button, this will take you to the Nexus, their special app. And these buttons here, like, I think this is for your menu, and this is for your, I never know it's for your settings and stuff like that. So if you press these buttons, it's like your clickable button or whatever it is. I barely use it. I actually just map it as my select and my start buttons here, but let me just go over this real quick. So you have your L1 and L2, and then your M1 button here, which can be used as your L3 and your R3, or your L3 button, and then your M2 button is your R3 button. And then I mean, I like the clickability of them. Like, it's just very smooth to the touch, and I like these analog triggers too because, I mean, just the way it travels. Like when you're playing racing games, it really like responds very well. Like latency is so low, so you get that special performance in your race car games and stuff like that. So I just like the way it feels in the hands, and then the sound. I mean, let me not talk. I mean, this, I guess, because of these holes, I mean, they have, let me just take this apart real quick. I'll just take this off real quick so you can kind of see what's going on here. Let me just do this gently. So you have here is your tablet. So you have, these are your speakers on the sides. You have it on both sides of the device. And then of course your USB Type-C port, which is also like a OTG to display adapter. So I'll definitely show like a little bit of docking later in the video. And then also you have your front-facing camera, which I barely use, but I guess that's for like live streaming and stuff like that. And then of course your microphone here at the bottom, and then your I think it's the only qualm I'll have with the Razer Edge is that it's definitely that situation where you have to get like a little pin to kind of push into this hole to put your micro SD card in here, and that's the only gripe I have with this device. But overall, I mean, I don't care too much about what everybody else has said in their reviews. I mean, yes, you can see that the bezels, if you kind of look here in the corner, it's rounded off when it should have kind of lined up with the phone or whatever. Like they could have used the full phone display, but I mean, I think it's unique in its own way as far as like just how they choose to display this thing. And I'm not mad at it at all overall. It's definitely a 6.8 inch screen, and it definitely does well with as far as gaming and entertainment goes. So I mean, I use this a lot for like Netflix and Disney Plus, and if I'm watching like sports or whatever, like football seasons in effect right now. But I mean, it's a great device. Oh, real quick, I'm sorry. And what separates it from being a phone is like, just the way it has that rounded look. So normally a lot of phones are like, it has that flat surface. And then also on top of that, you have your active cooling. Not a lot of phones have that. So if you're playing your games on your phone and you're using it for like, your regular activities, you're burning a lot of battery. But if your phone has active cooling, then you're in luck, of course, because at least it allows for longer gameplay, your battery's not burnt out as much, and you feel like, you can, utilize this for a long time. So for entertainment and all that stuff. So that's what separates the Razer Edge from like a regular phone. So in my opinion, again, this is just a small tablet that you can use for anything. So, and it shows. So like, this is like, a little bit of Netflix here. I can go into like Disney Plus, and let me just do something real quick. Okay, yeah, price changes. Yeah, they try to get you with that money though, but so yeah, let me just scroll through something here, and I'll probably just turn the volume down, so I don't want to get any copyright infringement or anything like that. But let's see. I gotta watch Ashoka and stuff like that. So, okay, a little bit of Avengers. We gotta, and just continue. Yeah, you gotta love it. It's, the picture quality is amazing. So, I got like 1080p on here, but I guess from what I've heard is that upon extending this, if I dock it, I can get up to 4K at 60 hertz, or I think 4K HDR. But this is actually an AMOLED screen at 1080p. So let me just stop that there. I think I'm talking way too much here. But yeah, at 1080p, I mean, you have your basic 1080p screen with a little bit of HD, like, or HDR content or whatever it is. But like I said, when you hook it up to a docking station, it can go up to 4K, and I think that's pretty cool. So enough of me talking, let's get to some gameplay so I can show you how good this thing is. Thought I would start off with some Xbox Game Pass gameplay. As many of you may know, the Razer Edge is capable of playing pretty much the whole Xbox Game Pass library, as with a lot of Android phones. Unfortunately, I tried to demonstrate like a little bit of Starfield and Sea of Stars, but for some reason now, there's a lot of waiting time when you're trying to select those games. So I was able to pick out Tunic and Guilty Gear Strive, and as you can see, it plays perfectly. The picture is of high quality. You're seeing here like a 1080p resolution, and I think that the max refresh rate for the Xbox Game Pass is 60 hertz. But I do have the Ultimate subscription, so I do get 18. I do pay the monthly subscription, and yeah, I think that's the highest it can go. But overall, you can see here that the gameplay is pretty smooth. Next up for the Game Pass is Guilty Gear Strive. This game, I barely had to wait for any load times. As you can see on the Razer Edge, the graphics look really nice with the AMOLED screen, and then as I'm using the controls, the movement's precise. I'm able to throw off special moves, at least when I can in this game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull off a lot of special moves, but at least when I was pressing buttons to at least do like Dragon Punch motions, at least there was a good follow-up with the controls. So no complaints here, and again, the Razer Edge is amazing for Xbox Game Pass gameplay. Moving on to PSP emulation, I'm using the PPSP Emulator at 4x resolution, and here I'm showcasing BlazBlue Continuous Ship 2. Again, the controls precise, graphics look good, and gameplay, it's, like I said, just on point overall. A lot of the games you're going to be able to play with at least 4x resolution, but there are some games that you may have to drop down to maybe 3x or 2x on the Razer Edge. But again, AMOLED screen, I just have to say that the game actually looks amazing on here. There's no dips, no slowdowns. It stayed at a consistent 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, I was not able to showcase the frames per second on here, but just from the gameplay overall, you can just tell that there's no adjustments in the game. There's no dips, there's no tearing, no nothing. Another game I thought I would try on the PPSP Emulator was Daxter, and I wanted to just kind of test out the resolution for this. So for this game, I have it at 4x resolution. As you can see, my movements, it looks pretty much precise. It actually looks better than the PSP when you're playing it firsthand. Again, with the AMOLED screen, you're looking at a nice quality display, and again, the controls are pretty precise. First time playing the game, it's actually pretty good. No complaints here. I do like the gameplay. I like the picture quality. Overall, it looks really good on the Razer Edge. Next for the PPSP is a game that is commonly used in all emulation videos, God of War Ghost of Sparta. And as you can see, gameplay is really good. Graphics, the colors just pop on here. And I believe I had it on 4x resolution, but I'm going to be on the safe side and just say that it's on 3x. And I think that is the sweet spot for this game. So no complaints here. And it's usually best to play it on this because it looks like there's a lot more, the graphics just pop and there's a lot more movement overall. And again, the Razer Edge just pretty much just does it all. So, I mean, this definitely forces me to play more PSP emulation on the Razer Edge. As you may have noticed, I start off with PSP emulation just because anything that's under PSP, such as Dreamcast, Saturn, or SNES, those will run just fine with no issues. And also, I decided to ignore GameCube emulation because that will run just fine as well. So here I am kicking it off with Mario Kart Wii on the Dolphin Emulator. Use the general one from the Google Play Store. And as you can see, I have it at 1x resolution, no issues here. You could probably bump it up to 2x resolution, but if you do, you may get a few frame dips here or there, but it just depends on the actual game itself. But right now, for me, on the safe side, I have it at 1x, and it runs perfectly here. Again, I thought I'd try another Wii game that's one of my favorites. It's actually Sonic Colors. And when I tried to emulate this on my other devices, such as the Retro Pocket Flip or like the iNode and Lite, the gameplay, it runs, but it's not as normal as what you see here on the Razer Edge. So again, I have it at 1x resolution with the OpenGL graphics GPU, and as you can see, it runs just fine. It's perfect. Could play this all day, but got more games to showcase. Next up is Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on the Dolphin Emulator, and this is one I also want to test because, again, there's usually, when it starts up, I mean, of course the shaders do catch a lot, especially when you're doing special moves or when you're just starting off the game, but as you continue to progress through the game, it kind of just smooths out overall. So when I'm busting out the super moves, like where I use Ultra Fireball, as you can see, the frame dipped a little bit because of the caches being, or the shaders being cached and all this stuff, but maybe this for the second or third go around, it just kind of transitions out and you will get normal gameplay. But overall, it's not painful, it's still playable, and it's not perfect unless you have the Snapdragon Gen 1 processor. Yeah, you're going to get a few dips here and there, but overall, I'm able to just pull out my moves perfectly with no issues, no problems at all. And again, it just makes the game just more playable and enjoyable overall. I mean, the Razer Edge is doing a good job. For PS2, I'm using the AetherSX2 emulator, and the game that I'm showcasing on here is Black. I believe I have it at 2x resolution. Hopefully, I think that's the case. Or, yeah, it's 2x resolution. I can't even remember what I had it on as I was playing this, but the gameplay, as you can see, it looks a lot better. There's maybe a slight dip here and there for this chip. And again, I'm using the Snapdragon G3X chip, and I believe is on par with the Snapdragon 888 Plus. So you will get some quality gameplay here for the PS2. In fact, most of the games will play very well, including God of War 2. So there definitely won't be any issues here as far as PS2 gameplay. Here I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and I think I'm playing this safe by just keeping it at 2x, but I could risk it. I could have risked it and bumped it up to 3x, but I want to kind of just show how smooth the gameplay was here. But because of just the cell shading, all that stuff, I could have at least bumped it up to 3x, but you can see that the gameplay is very smooth. There are no dips, and it looks like you're actually playing on the console itself. Another devices, lower end devices, you'll probably get a lot of dips here, but on the Razer Edge, you won't get any issues, no frame dips, at least specifically for this game. But like I said, on the safe side, I just kept it at 2x. I thought I caught myself being brave by trying to avoid playing God of War 2 because, again, that's commonly what you would see in emulation videos, but again, I didn't think that Jet Li's Rise to Honor would be one of those games, but I later found out that it is a commonly used game for emulation showcases. But I thought I'd play it anyway because I'm a fan of action games, and as you can see here, I have it at 2x resolution, and again, the gameplay is very smooth. I mean, there's no dips. I think maybe I saw a frame or two in dip, but you barely could notice it as you're playing the game. Again, with this one, I probably could have bumped it up to 3x, but my sweet spot is definitely 2x for PS2 gameplay. So again, no issues here, and I had a blast just playing this game overall. Last but not least, I want to test out the emulation for the Razer Edge, and I thought I'd go with utilizing the Nintendo Switch, using the latest version of Skyline Edge, and unfortunately, I'm able to play certain games using 6 GB of RAM because I do have the Wi-Fi version. So a lot of games I will not be able to play on this device, but I was able to squeeze out Rayman Legends on the Skyline emulator, and there are a few games that I have tested out that are able to run just fine on it. But then the games that I tried to run, such as like Super Mario Odyssey, unfortunately that does not look good. Does not look good on the Razer Edge. Neither does new Super Mario Brothers Wii, and unfortunately, games like Resident Evil 5 did not work on here. So I was able to squeeze out playing Rayman Legends on this, but I know with the audio it's a little bit stuttery or a little bit what do you call it, staticky. But at least the gameplay and the graphics look fine on here, and the controls, they feel pretty good on here. And response time is great. So I mean, it's at least a little bit enjoyable if you can manage to tolerate the sound on here. I'm playing Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on the Skyline Emulator, and to my surprise, it ran really well. It's running great at about 58 frames per second, and surprisingly for a device that has 6 gigs of RAM, this plays very well. I mean, the graphics are consistent. It pops. The gameplay is fluid, and yeah, I'm pretty much impressed with it. I say this just because when I tried using Yuzu on Android, I was unable to run this type of game because I'm only limited to 6 gigs of RAM, and the Yuzu Android emulator requires 8 gigs of RAM. So a lot of those games will not run on Yuzu just because of the limitations of the Wi-Fi version of the Razer Edge. So you best just stick with the Skyline emulator or Skyline Edge emulator for this device overall. You'll manage to squeeze out a few games. You just have to watch a couple of YouTube videos to see which games are capable of running that. Now let's get to my final thoughts and specifications. Alright, I know this is towards the end of the video, but let's go over the specifications real quick. So this version of the Razer Edge has a Qualcomm Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 processor. In addition to that, it also has a 6.8-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED screen at 1080p with a refresh rate of 144 Hz. It also comes with 6 GB of LPDDR5 RAM, whereas the 5G version will come with 8 gigs. As for your storage, it comes with 128 GB of internal storage with a micro SD support of external storage up to 2 TB. The Razer Edge has two-way speakers with 2 digital microphones. You also get THX spatial audio, which provides for that theater experience for your maximized gameplay experience. It also comes with a front-facing camera at 5 megapixels, and then you can do video recording at 1080p at 60 frames per second. So pretty much for your game streaming on YouTube or for Twitch, it's very useful, but I can't see any benefit of me using that at the moment. It also has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which provides up to 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, depending on what type of game that you're playing. So if you're playing any type of high-end emulation like Switch or PS2, you can expect 2 to 3 hours, whereas if it's anything low-end like Dreamcast and below, you can get a good 5 to 6 hours of gameplay. As far as your connection, you do have Wi-Fi 6E support. So I would have to say that this device does have good connection as far as with Xbox Game Pass. So there was no disconnects, there was no lag, no nothing. So this actually connected perfectly. My games ran perfectly on this device. So if you have GeForce Now, if you're doing PS5 remote play, or if you're doing Steam Link or Moonlight, this connection is amazing. And then finally, you have Bluetooth 5.2, so if you're connecting any wireless controllers or any audio devices or anything like that, you should have no problems at all. The Razer Edge is a great device. Now here are my final thoughts. So basically overall, I do like the Razer Edge. I'm a huge fan of it. A lot of people didn't like the bezels on it, but I feel like it kind of helps because it focuses on your game overall. I like the Razer Edge Kishi 2 or the Razer Kishi version 2 Pro, or however you mention that controller. The controls are very responsive, and I like the fact that it separates itself from the competition overall. A lot of people think of it as a phone attached to a controller, but in my opinion, I really don't. I think of it as a mini tablet that is capable of playing a lot of high-end games. Now, the Razer Edge is not perfect, and I'm aware of that, but just for games that I can play up to a nice portion of Switch emulation and pretty much like 3DS games and PS2 games, this one is actually a great device. Now, overall, I mean, in my opinion, I have no gripes with it at all. But I get some people's point as far as like what could actually stop them from actually purchasing this device. If you're actually purchasing it in real time, like say at its normal price, you can expect to shell out like $400 for this thing. And I know for $400 you can actually just go ahead and just get a Steam Deck. And I would say for those people, definitely, if you don't have a Steam Deck already, definitely get a Steam Deck. If you don't have a Steam Deck, and if you're just into like Android emulation and you just want to shell out $400 on that, then you know what? I mean, that's really tough because the Iron Odin 2 is on its way, like come next year. But if you definitely can't wait, then this is actually a good device to actually purchase because you, at least for the Wi-Fi version, I mean, you do get quality gameplay. You just won't get the full-on business like you would or the frameless display like you would with like a regular phone, but you will get some good gameplay, and you definitely would be able to play your Xbox Game Pass games and your remote play with no problem. And the sound is amazing on here. It's the sound quality that if you put it in a loud setting, you will definitely hear it for sure. It's definitely a good device to have. But otherwise, if you can make a purchase, I would just say be on the lookout. Just look at third-party sellers like eBay or Mercari. That's where you can find some good deals for the Razer Edge for sure. Because a lot of people are, just giving them away because they're into like the ROG Allies or like the Steam Decks or whatever, or the Ioneo devices. So a lot of people are not a fan of these things, which is fine. So it's like I usually say, like whatever is like one man's trash could be another man's treasure. And so for me, like I said, I was lucky to actually purchase this at $200 when it was on sale from a third-party seller. And I was lucky to actually get it because I've been wanting to play this device for quite some time. And I do plan on doing more emulation videos in the near future. So, real quick, I'm sorry. Another thing I did not like about the Razer Edge is just the slot to put your SD card in. So you can't just push down on it to pop it open. You need like a little pin or whatever, like you use for like your phone to open up the slot, as if you're putting a SIM card in it. But in this case, because this is the Wi-Fi version, you have to actually put in just a micro SD card. Now for the 5G version, it requires, you can put a SIM card and an SD card in there, but this version does not have an SD card slot or SIM card slot. So it would have made sense for Razer to just make it like a push down or pop open slot or whatever, or just have a slot specifically open for your micro SD card. That would have made sense all in itself. But you know, other than that, I really don't have complaints about the device. It's definitely great. I've been playing with it, you know, for quite some time now, and I've been enjoying it. Just playing some games without having to worry about like slowdown or like playability overall. But I would just say, you know, if you have the opportunity to get one, I would say get one. But if you're wanting to wait for the Odin 2, or if you're like, oh, I can't wait, and I'll just get the Odin 1 or whatever, or any future gaming device that may be cheaper than this, then go ahead and get it. But like I said, unless you can find a good deal on eBay or like Mercari or whatever, then yeah, just go for those devices. So again, I mean, I do appreciate you guys watching my video. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, turn on your notification bell for future videos. And if there's any requests that you want to, like any game requests that you want to see as far as like emulation for this device, because there's not a lot of Razer Edge emulation videos out there for this, then please let me know in the comments below. And what do you like about this Razer Edge? Also let me know that in the comments below, and what don't you like about it. And just drop me a comment. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please be sure to do so. And I'm gonna do my best to add more videos to my channel and do my best to at least provide some content. I know, real quick, another one too. I know somebody had mentioned something about doing an update, you know, about how to update the Razer Edge. So I'll probably do a short video on that in the future. So be on the lookout for that as well too. My name is Just Play J, and I have enjoyed putting out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.